Greetings and salutations, wonderful people, and even some of you who are not so wonderful. Just another hangout because this week has been this weird combination of not busy and just crazy busy, and I don't understand how that works. I'm exhausted, but whatever. Anyway, like tomorrow, I'm gonna get into work and have nothing to do. Like when we're done here, I got stuff to do, and then like tomorrow, I'm gonna have nothing to do all day. And they're like, "Yeah, no, we're still working the whole day." My client is closed. Like I would get it if like one of the other groups that works in Texas needed help because like they were going to be out, but like everyone's in that group, and it's like okay, sure, but hey, it's your money. I mean, you're paying me. I get paid by the hour, so I'll do it. Just saying. Yes, Titan. I just saw that. Yes, we will keep CJ in prayers. Yeah, COVID can like. So here's the weird thing. When I looked, dang it, I just saw MH 1953's comment. Last year when I had COVID, like real early on, I felt absolutely miserable for like 3 days. I couldn't move. Me and the wife, like we just could not move. It was terrible. Not the sickest I've ever been. That was when I was in Cozumel with my family. I swallowed some seawater. That was a terrible experience. But this last time, like the COVID really wasn't even my problem. I just felt like I had a light flu, like real light flu, but it did turn into that chest thing, and that was a problem. So I feel, but a lot of people who catch COVID, though, I've known people who just they have a hard time with it. So I get it. Like I said, last year's it was awful. Um, and I've like I said, I had a friend who was actually I had one friend die of it. He was younger than I was, or than I am, and another friend of mine who's almost the same age, just slightly older, he had to go to the hospital for it. So believe me, I understand. I was really worried about him too. Um, and I thought I saw MH 1950. Okay, good, good, good. Good, MH 1953. Glad to hear about your husband doing better. That's great. Awesome. Oh, I'm sorry, MH 1953. I'm sorry you don't feel well. Bat Mom says, it took me 2 weeks of wanting to die having Ronas. So you can't smell? Yeah, it took me a while to get my sense of taste and smell back. Um, Everything smells like perfume. So here's the thing: like when I lost like I still couldn't smell, but I lost my sense of taste. Everything tasted like salt. Everything tasted like salt. Just all of it. Wait, what? Um. See, here's the problem: is I can't see sarcasm. Batmom is saying that MH is preggers. MH? Did I miss something? Hmm. Hmm. Oh, okay. There we go. Hey, Lisa. Howdy. So, like I said, today's a hangout. I got nothing planned, and honestly, the way this day has gone with okay, so I was thinking it was like okay, so here's the deal. Since we don't have like a font that's sarcastic, let's always make certain we put like a winky face or something so I can read it as oh that's meant to be sarcastic because otherwise it's like I mean Mazel Tov to image 1953, but just saying. Mm. Ah. Oh, congratulations. So MH 1953's daughter is preggers. I'm assuming that's what she means. So she's with child. But yeah, like I said, I prepping today would not have been a good thing for me. Um, with the whole Ghislaine Max. It's like everyone's like, "Oh, hey, she's guilty on 5 of 6 counts." I'm like, I don't know what the heck happened on the 6th one, but I pretty much shut out once I saw that the judge had sealed all of the evidence. I'm like, nope, I'm just spinning into negativity there. It's like, nope, that's because here's the thing. I'm going to go there anyway. Because it's sealed, we are never going to see it again, ever. Like, this was our one shot. This was the one shot to actually bring some of these dirt bags to justice, and it ain't going to happen. Everyone's like, well, maybe she'll talk. She's not talking. The prosecution never even offered a deal. They never came to her with a deal. Why is she going to spill whose name is she going to give out now? She's guilty. There's nothing they can do to negotiate. They've got nothing to negotiate with. And besides, let's be honest here. She is. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she's going to disappear. Like, here's the problem. She is. My theory is that she was always the handler, right? Epstein himself was the asset. She was the handler. Straight up. That was always my contention because of her connections with her father. Because that's the thing, right? The CIA handler is always someone just to the side, right? CIA, Mossad, Big Five, doesn't matter. It's the asset is the guy standing out front. The handler is always just off to the side. That's Ghislaine Maxwell. So, like I said, she'll get a slap on the wrist, if that. So, like I said, preparing, I already knew where my day was going to go, and I'm like, you know what? If I prepare for today, I'm going to get mad. I don't want to get mad. Tomorrow's New Year's. I'm cooking. Gonna make a little sort of like a taco bar. I'm making my queso, which I love more than anything. Gonna be frying up some steaks, chopping it fine to make a little warm burrito. It's gonna be awesome. So I just don't want to be. I don't want to be mad. Like it, I sent a text to a pastor friend of mine, and just trying to figure stuff out because I mean, just and of course the answer he gave me is the answer I would have given myself, and the problem that I have is doesn't really address my problem. So, but I can't blame him because I would have given the exact same answer. So it just isn't helpful. So, unfortunately, sometimes the world is just the way the world is, and there's nothing we can do to fight it. I mean, Lamentations exists. The Book of Lamentations exists for a reason, people, right? Psalms. How many Psalms are talking about the evil of the world winning and prospering while the righteous are killed or oppressed? It's just one of those things that I think confession time. Here we go. Because I've always said I want to be transparent. And I've said things along this line, but I think it did congeal today. Like, what bothers me most about all those people who were talking, the quote unquote prophets who were completely wrong, and that I have condemned because they were wrong, because they absolutely did it. They if you're a false prophet, you're a false prophet. I can't help you there. Anyway, so the thing that bothered me is I am a happy cynic. I like being black-pilled because it's never turned me wrong, right? I always believe the worst case scenario is what's going to happen. Now, does it always happen? No. I'm the first one to admit it. But it's a heck of a lot easier to kind of look around and be like, yeah, I'm looking at the timeline. Things are going to go badly, right? Like, no, we should not expect. And then here all these people come, and I bought into the idea that the country could be redeemed. Look, I'm always, okay, Lisa, I will. I will give you my recipe, but I'll finish the story first. So it's a um, because obviously whatever, all things work to the benefit of those who love God. I'm right there with you. I I don't care if the country collapses around us. I know it will always ultimately be for our good. But here's the thing: our good does have kind of a broad meaning here, right? Good can also mean that we get beheaded in front of a, or eaten by lions, or filleted alive, or crucified upside down, thrown into boiling oil, uh, just blown up, right? Like, good is a really broad meaning here, and I'm okay with it, right? I mean, it is what it is. Um, and it's I have faith that whatever happens matters, and that it's God doing it, right? Okay, cool. It doesn't bother me. So the idea that the country is just going to go to hell in a handbasket, there's really nothing that can be stopped, and we need to just accept that aspect of it and move on to other more important things, like the souls of people. I'm all for. But I allowed myself to believe these people because they had some other stuff in the past. There were some other things going on. I'm like, well, it all seems to line up. Maybe that is happening, right? Oh, cheese freak, there are many, many pills. I'll explain that after the cheese dip thing, queso specifically. Um, so it's like I allowed myself to believe them, and that's what bothers me more, is that if I had stuck with my usual view on life, I would have been fine. Except then I had hope that this country could be saved, and it's like, oh no, we're gonna take that hope away, and it's like, nope, going to hell in a handbasket again. Now, again, normal black pilled me says, let the country burn. It's okay. What is happening is we're seeing a division between the fake Christians who really love, you know, they love their skin color, they love their politics, they love their convenience, they love their reputation more than God. Great. Good riddance. Go go join your big churches. Go join and make certain people see that you're giving out the right things. Fine. Good. Go. I am perfectly okay with that. We're separating those people out. We're separating out, and people are waking up to the evil of the world. Wonderful. Join the fight. I don't want to point out and be like, oh, you believe that crap for 20, 30 years? And no, great. You're out of the matrix. Come. Let's join this fight. Let's do that. I'm okay with that. It's just for this little short time, I'm like, man, it's gonna be good. God's got this under control. We're gonna win, right? Um, it's like we're gonna win, and there was optimism and hope for victory again on a short term. I know we have victory in the long term. Like, that's the problem. It's like, I know we have victory in the long term. That's not my problem. I want to know where to allocate my resources. Like, if I'm on the Titanic, I don't need to care about trying to fix the freaking boat. I need to get people off the boat, right? But if the boat can be fixed, then yeah, I need to fix the boat. Let's fix the boat so the boat doesn't go down and everyone can be saved. But if the boat's going down and we don't have enough people or enough lifeboats for people, then my job is to make certain we can get as many people in lifeboats as possible. What? That's what I'm saying. Like, let's get people into those lifeboats. Like, they're two very different objectives. I just want to know which one to have, right? So that was the problem, is I felt like it drove me off course. And I need to be focused on getting people in lifeboats and not trying to fix this stupid boat. It gave me a sense of hope and optimism that was completely undeserved, and I feel like a sucker, and that's what bothers me, right? So it is what it is. I meant cheese freak. I meant matrix metaphorically. I meant that metaphorically. Now, to Lisa's question, my cheese dip is actually very, very simple. And you can play with the amounts, right? But Velveeta, fake cheese. That melts the best. And then depending on how, you can either do 1 can of Rotel or 2 cans of Rotel. Depends on how spicy you like it. Just saying. You can microwave it. You can put it in a crock pot or like one of those. Maybe it's not a crock pot. I don't know what it is. It's the ones that are small, and you put things in. You click it, and it goes hot or low, whatever. Yeah. Now, if you want Wolf brand chili, you like half a can of Wolf brand chili to put the whole thing in there, but I think it takes over too much. Believe me, greatest thing you'll ever eat. You can throw some garlic powder in there also. Really spices it up. So real simple. Block of Velveeta, 1 or 2 cans of Rotel, depending on how you want. Usually, if you do 1 can of Rotel, you want to do like an extra half can of water just to give it a little extra fluidity. So, and then for the pills, there are a ton of pills. In fact, there's so many pills. But the general point does come in from the Matrix, right? The idea that you get the red pill and you wake up and you start seeing the lies, right? That's why a lot of people say, the people who are they use the metaphor of, oh, Lisa, yeah, Batmom's slow cooker. Oh, Wolf brand, yes, you may not know of it. It's not necessarily sold everywhere. But Wolf, it's it's just Wolf, like a dog, like the Wolf brand. It is the greatest. It is a true Texas red chili, and it is amazing. It's I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do, but again, the main thing is, like, if you want to add some meat to it, you can add whatever you want to. It's very, very flexible, but you want to add a little bit of, just a tiny bit of garlic powder. But you do want to have, like, I like 2 cans of Rotel just to get it, fluid a little bit. Plus, like, the extra spice, and like I said, Wolf brand chili is the one to go with. Absolutely. It's okay, Gene, you're fine. But I don't know that it's sold everywhere. That sort of thing. I know it used to be very much a Texas thing. Like when my mom would go up to visit some of her family up north, they'd be like, "Oh, wait." They'd be like, "Oh, wait, the Texas people are here," and they'd bring out the Hell in the Red salsa and the Wolf brand chili that we would send them in care packages. It's and if you're not from Texas, you do not know anything about Hell in the Red. It is one of my favorite salsas of all time. It's a thing. Anyway, but back to the colors of pills. So again, it goes back to the idea of the Matrix, that to be trapped in the Matrix metaphorically, as I used it earlier, is just to be caught in the lies, right? It's to be caught in this weird denial of reality that people are. Like, it's the delusion we talked about on Sunday, right? I talked about how, God's sending a delusion. Like, that's it. You're in the delusion because you don't love truth. You would rather you don't love the truth. Therefore, you buy into this. Hey, Mary H., you buy into the lie. That's being the Matrix. So the red pill is your eyes are now open to the truth. The blue pill are the people in the Matrix. But then you have other colored pills. The main ones are white pill. That means you're optimistic. You're like, hey, this actually can work. Like, this can be fixed. There's black pill where you're like, it's just all going to burn, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. Like, that's it. I tend to be a very black-pilled person. I'm just jaded and cynical about a lot of things. So I think that's the thing, is I just feel like a sucker because I got white-pilled, and I'm like, white pill is not my style. So anyway, a little confession from me. So again, want to stay very transparent. I'm giving you my queso suggestions here. Truly, honestly, I clearly trust you. Then it's really not that much of a secret, but I like it. So anyway, if you have any other comments, feel free to throw them in there. Questions, whatever. Like I said, we're just hanging out today. So, like I said, my biggest problem is I just want to know where to apply. Where do our actions in our, obviously our actions, but where does the emphasis need to be? Like, are we trying to save the Titanic, or are we just trying to get people off the boat, right? because those are two very different things. And I just want to know which one it is. And I don't see that God's really giving us a direction on that. So, okay, image 1953 at Gene Hudson. Oh, gotcha. We're right back to where we were on that one. So other than that, oh, Gene, I'm sorry to hear about that. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. That's gotta hurt to just hear her say that. I really don't have anything else. I mean, there's just real. I mean, it's the middle of the week, or not the middle of the week. It's called Limbo Week, rather. So no one's doing anything. No one's releasing anything. I know some people. It's like, well, hey, there's this and this, and I'm like, I'm just kind of tired on all of that. Like nothing major is moving, right? So it's just kind of a dead week, and just kind of there, right? So, but yeah, it is what it is. Trying to think. I mean, I just don't even know if anything has happened at all. So, if anybody's got a question, I'd be happy to talk about it. It's like trying to think if there was. I don't know. I'm just kind of, you know, that's where we're at, right? Okay, my phone was just telling me that I'm live. So, but yeah, I think there's only 24 hours in a day, and it's 24 hours a day, 7 days in a week. And I just can't figure out how to get more hours into them to do everything I feel like I need to be doing. So if I can't do everything I feel like I need to be doing, I got to cut something out, and I just don't know what it is to cut out. And it's like if I knew where God was leading us, right? If I knew what the plan, not even the whole plan, just like, again, do we need to get people out or do we need to fix the boat? That's all I need to know. It's just wish I knew where to put my time. No, Lisa, please. It's a free and open forum. Whatever questions or comments you have, please let us know. And yes, hold on. I just realized Gene is typing in code. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Gene. Wow. Okay, so I saw your thing about the prayer, and I'm right there with you. And now I'm seeing your thing about nephew. I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry to hear about your nephew. We will continue prayer that it's healed and it's definitely not serious. But I'm hearing the same thing about those who've had the joke. They seem to be getting sicker than the people who aren't. Just scrolling back up. Okay. Trying to make sure I got make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah. And so, okay. So, Gene, to your point about God wants us to spread love in His Word, absolutely on board with that. That's sort of like there are general things that we're supposed to do, but I guess it's just wisdom and trying to figure out what fight we're supposed to be fighting here, right? Because that is still the thing, no matter where we're going. But it's like it's like fork in the road. Do I go left or do I go right, or does it matter at all? Right? I mean, that's sort of the problem. It's just don't know which one to do. So again, Lisa, your question that you think may be best on Texas, I'm more than happy to take it. Right? It's again, this is a hangout. That's the entire point. Is that it's not. We can talk about whatever you want. I just spent like 10 minutes talking about my queso recipe and Wolf brand chili, which is my favorite chili of all time. It's very hard to make properly, which is why I'm glad it's cheap. But it's really good. Lisa, Jean wants to know too. So you better be busy typing this thing up. But so yeah, like I said, I just got done talking, confessing, and then giving my thoughts on chili and queso and the Matrix. And, oh, there we are. Snake mounds, caves. Okay, you know what? That's a great question. Let me put that up there. So Lisa's asking, what do I think about snake mounds, caves, and what it says in the Bible at the end times? It's okay, Lisa. I'm very slow at typing. And that is so I am working under this just as a preface, so we're on the same page. I'm working from the assumption that you mean like in chapter 6 where they go into the caves and the holes of the earth, and they're like, they ask for the mountain to fall on them because Christ is there, right? And I have not been sleeping a lot lately. Just so many weather changes. Just hitting me hard. I would not have necessarily made the connection between serpent mounds and things like that and that verse, because most of those seem to be in like relatively flat areas, like fields kind of a thing, not necessarily like inside of a mountain. But I think but you you may actually have a point. I would have never thought about that, about connecting them. I always took it as more of a literal, like, where do we build bunkers? We build them under, we don't just build them underground. We tend to build them under mountains for the obvious reason, right? It's like it's sort of like building a walled city, and they would often dig deep trenches in front of the wall. Well, why? Well, because now your wall's even taller, and all you did was dig out the earth around it. You didn't have to keep building up, you dug down. So in the same way, you put your secret, your bunkers underneath a mountain. Well, now they got to get through the mountain just to get to you. That is where I've always sort of interpreted, but you may be onto something with that. That's a great hold on. Discussing this thing. No, okay, I was just trying to catch up. So okay, I was not aware that they said that they would be. I've never heard that that the mounds would awaken. Now okay. So here's the thing. There's a lot of American Indian legends about a giant serpent. And again, that imagery is all over the world. They tend to be called dragons. They're usually called chaos conf or chaos dragons. Chaos conf is actually the conflict, but you'll find these giant serpent legends everywhere. I do think that it's because that's what's going to happen. I mean, I think the fact that Satan is referred to as a serpent in Scripture is not an accident. I think if they're trying to point you to the chaos comp, to the chaos dragon. Isaiah very much does that, right? It's definitely one of those things where I think that the Chaos Comp, the Chaos Dragons, like that is, I think they absolutely represent Satan. I think on an instinctual level, everyone sort of gets it, right? Um, so could there be something going on with those mounds? You know what? That's a great question. I've never thought about it, but I think there could be something there. I will look more into it. Um, that may be some, I mean, that may be a great point. Like there may be something going on with that. Oh, trust me, I'm well aware of the Snake Mound in Ohio. I've actually spent a lot of time. Uh, 757. Okay. I have spent a lot of time on them, but again, just not making that connection. So I need to go back and look at that with sort of that idea. So, oh, okay. So Titan, I'm hoping. Hold on. Sounds like. Okay, so to Titan's question or comment, um, it sounds like we'll be doing what we've always done when we get taken. Again, that goes back to Jesus saying, the um, um, the idea that people will be, they'll be, giving in marriage and marrying and doing all these things. Like it's like life will just be going on as normal. Um, I would agree with that, but again, I believe our rapture occurs at the end, so I don't know it'll be that much. Um, it's definitely one of those things, though. I think that yeah, I mean the life will be moving as normal when the end times come. That I completely agree with. In fact, I'm kind of the opinion that we read the book of Revelation and we think it's just everything is just off the walls nuts, and we're like, how could people see this and not realize how off the wall crazy everything is? I have a sneaking suspicion it may not be as off the wall crazy as we think. So I think that's how you can reconcile that. As I think there's going to be a lot of people for whom it's like it's a normal thing. Again, if we go back to the idea that the first trumpet was World War One, the second trumpet is World War Two, and that the burning mountain is actually Japan being both firebombed and have like we had the fire bombings of Tokyo. We dropped 2 nuclear weapons on them, right? On it's like if those were that, then it's very possible that a lot of this other stuff won't. Again, our interpretation of what it looks like won't line up with what we actually see, so we miss it. And a lot of people will miss it. I think those who are awake will see it, but a lot of people will miss it. So, um, you know what? MH1953, I really don't want to see a giant snake either. Um, it would definitely be something that I don't necessarily want to see, but I wouldn't be surprised if, I mean, again, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of these cryptozoological creatures, quote unquote, turn out to be supernatural beings. Like, I really am not going to be surprised by that. Um, you know what, Titan? So Titan asked a great question about a study of the Four Horsemen. Here's the thing: I would like to do a study of the Four Horsemen, but I have not found a theory that I like about them at all. Like, I found a lot of theories that have a point, but I don't like any of it. Like, what I can do, you know what? Let me do this. I will find a Sunday that, jeez, freak, that's terrible. Because we tested them here on our soldiers. Um, I'll dedicate a Sunday to it, and we can go through all the. I think what may have the best interpretations. The thing is, I don't know that I really like anything anyone's put out. I wrote that in my book, like straight up. I wish I knew better what the Four Horsemen were, but there's just nothing that for me settles all my questions. Like it just everything feels just a little too. I don't know. None of it feels right. The one that I think does feel right. Let me rephrase that. There's one theory that I think is that might be closer to the truth, is that the white horse is actually Catholicism, the red horse is communism, the black horse is capitalism, and the green or pale horse is Islam. And then we're talking about global rises. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it entirely, but I think there's some validity to it. I really think there is. I think there may be some validity to that theory, but we'll do a thing about that, right? Okay, so Lisa, yes, absolutely. On these mounds, like they take EM measurements, and there's just all kinds of stuff of EM. There's a strong EM field on these mounds. Yeah, like the mounds. So let me talk about the mounds for a second, but disconnect it from the Book of Revelation. I believe straight up that these earthen mounds that we see here, and we see them here, like the Serpent Mound here in the U.S. in Ohio. These are just the American versions of stuff like the dolmen that we find all over the old world, right? I am of the opinion that the mound builders here in the U.S., because the mound builders lived about 2,000 years ago to a little bit earlier. It's none the earthen mound builders are not the same tribes that we found when European settlers got here. Just straight up, they're not the same people. So the question becomes, then who were they? My opinion is when the Nephilim came here to the New World, the ones that escaped Israel, right? They escaped Jacob and all of them, not Jacob, Joshua and all them, cleansing the land. I think a lot of them did come here. I think they went to South America first, but they did work their way north. I think those are Nephilim mound tribes, or tribe mounds, but not necessarily everyone was a full Nephilim, right? Like we see that in Israel, right? Not all of the tribes and all of these groups were full Nephilim. There were some Nephilim, but then most of them were human. So you can assume that the Nephilim were running everything. Because again, it's about knowledge, it's about power more than physical power. Though they were strong, though they were fast. Having one strong and fast soldier is great. Even if he's worth 10 men, you throw 20 people at him, right? You throw 20 people at him, he's going to go away, right? I mean, that's sort of one of those, that's something we often don't think about, because again, we have guns and we have bombs and missiles and tanks. It's like, you go back 1,000 years, things got messy pretty quick, and everyone knew how to fight. Like, everyone. Right, so we tend to think of the knights and their armor. It's like, the Scottish Highlanders, my people. We had this thing called what was it called? A lock bar. That's what it's called. It's called a lock bar, and essentially it's a pole weapon. So it's like a bow staff. But at the end is sort of this broad axe head, very long, sort of double, has 2 points where it connects to the staff usually. And then it has a hook, like just a hook, right? And the idea was you had these soldiers, these knights with chainmail or even plate mail. They would come in, the soldiers would flip it, grab the knight by that hook, pull him off the you'd usually have 2 or 3 guys. They'd pull them off the horse, and as soon as that knight hit the ground, they came down with the axe head. Made very quick work of them. So, soldiers facing giants in the day would have done the same thing, or something similar. They would have been like, "That's a tall giant. You know what we got? Spears and arrows. Shoot that guy." Or again, you've got 10 guys. He's like, "I've got the strength of 10 men. Great. Let's grab 20 guys. We'll just go take him out." So I think a lot of these things, the earthen mounds, a lot of these things are going to end up being Nephilim tribes, where you had a Nephilim running everything, and he had a small family group, but then he had the people and they built these things. We have to remember the Nephilim that survived, their main thing was not just giving knowledge to mankind, it was connecting us with their supernatural fathers, the ones that are trapped in Tartarus right now, connecting them with Satan, right? That's the point of all magic. I don't care if it's Wicca or what, all of it's about connecting to Satan one way or the other. Wicca is just magic and Tupperware. That's all it is. That's all. It doesn't matter what the name of it is. Satan takes any name he will take any name he wants. Any name. So it's about connecting them with Satan. Again, this is why the serpent motif is everywhere. Everywhere. So saw a couple of questions here. Yeah. So at least, yeah, the star people, there's again, with the mounds, these are all Nephilim artifacts. That's what they are. And we have found Nephilim buried in them. Like here in Oklahoma, not here in Oklahoma, I live in Texas. We got rid of Oklahoma. But there was an Oklahoma mound that was dug up in the 30s for a water. They were doing some sort of water project, and they didn't know it was a burial mound. It was just a hill, and they were, well, hey, look at this. It's got all kinds of artifacts in it. And oh, look, a 8 to 10 foot giant was buried here with all of these precious artifacts. Well, because he's the Nephilim who had the mound built, right? So yeah, trust me, yeah, the mounds. But again, I had never connected them to Revelation, so I'm gonna re-examine. There may be something there. I'll look up this Me. So it's called Me Too Television. I'll look it up. Okay, there we are. Titan has a question about why we're called the bride. Of all the things to call us. So here's the thing, Titan. Again, I think this is one of those things where there's an old saying I have learned to love. Is if you pick all when you've plucked all the petals off of your rose and you're left with nothing but thorns, it's time to get a new metaphor. The point being that all metaphors are by their nature incomplete, right? They're never one-to-one. It's just an idea. But on Earth, right, from human, it's again, father, son, like these are all metaphors so that we can understand relationships. So we can, because our world is so vastly different from the supernatural one. But why bride? In the same way that you, again, aside from the sweaty, icky stuff, right? Try to keep everything family friendly. Aside from the need for procreation, the idea of a bride and a husband, bridegroom, depending on how old school you want to go, is that they're dedicated one to another, right? The bridegroom is the head, but the bridegroom loves the bride. The bride respects the bridegroom. They live together in oneness. They are one, right? In the same way, all of Christ was always intended to be, like humanity was always intended to be with Christ. And Christ was always going to be born. It's just sin made it, necessitated a different form, right? So the metaphor here of the bride and the bridegroom is that he is our head, he is our king, but it's not just it's far more than just fidelity to a potentate. It is the fidelity that one gives their spouse. It is a oneness that one gives their spouse, right? So I think that's why it's the broader picture of oneness, wholeness, and that we are beneath Christ, but he is there to serve and love us and protect us and be with us. That's the idea. I hope that made sense. I don't know if it made sense. ICTV, Mom. Okay, I will give it a look at. Marfa lights. I actually have been trying to go out to see them. But I don't. So okay, hold on. I just want to make sure I'm caught up with everything. Then I'll go back to the Marfa lights. Yeah, one mind, one accord. Complete. Okay, since we're staying on the theme, then we come back and get those questions. Okay, I just saw something about the redhead. Okay, um, so here's the deal with that. There is this. It's not wrong. Okay, there's this myth that's been created in modern evangelicalism in order to sort of provide support to the idea of the rapture, right? That the bridegroom goes off, he prepares a room to the house, and then at some point, no one knowing when he's going to come, just a woman has to be just ready to go because he's going to show up and be like, "You're coming with me," and everyone in this just drops what they're doing and goes to the party, and that's it, right? That's this myth that's perpetuated. It's not true. And here's how we know it's not true. I'm going to ask a simple question. How in the world are you going to throw a wedding party and not tell anybody? Remember the parable of the wise and foolish virgins? They were out there waiting. Do you think they were out there waiting for 7 months or a year and a half, 5 years, right? Whatever. They were just all out there waiting. No, they knew. Now again, that doesn't mean that they knew exactly when the guy was going to be there, right? It's 2,000 years ago. They didn't have clocks, but they knew the day. But notice they knew the hours of the day. Like it happened the third hour. It happened at this hour of the day. We know it's like they knew where the sun was. They could tell time. It's not that hard. It's not hard to say, "Hey, I think I'm done with this. Everyone get ready because we're gonna have a party," right? Or I'm going because now it is true that amongst the lower classes there wasn't even usually a party. They would go, they would take the bride, they would bring him into the husband would bring him her into the house, present her before the parents, and it was done. Like that was it. There wasn't even a ceremony. The ceremony was presenting her before the parents. um so it's one of those things where there's been this other mythology around weddings that made no sense. Now, we see things like the wedding at Cana. Now, we do know that when there was someone who had sufficient funds to do a true wedding feast, right? It did go 7 days, right? There was a feast. That does match up. And yes, the bridegroom does go away. He does prepare a room so that when he brings his spouse there, they will have someplace to live. These particularly the first, the eldest brother usually got the main home. These main homes were very large and complicated in a lot of cases, even in poor areas like Nazareth. They were often, they were quite large, and they had a lot of rooms because family members built onto them, right? So that all checks out, and the idea that he may not know exactly when he's coming, because again, it's kind of hard. It's not like they didn't have Google back then. They couldn't say, "Hey, honey, I'm 30 minutes away," right? They would prepare for these things. So there is a ceremony, and yeah, these things do match up in the fact that there is a 7 year period. But again, I tend to think it's actually a 7 day period. I don't think it's even a 7 year period. So to say this, right? um to sum up, yes, there is a thing, there is this deal, but yeah, it's a covenant. Someone mentioned the covenant. Yeah, it's also a covenant. The bride is covenant to him. Again, there are covenants. We have the testimonies, that's the Bible. We have the Ark of the Covenant. Like, this is all intertwined. The metaphor is all there. In fact, the deeper you want to look into the metaphors, the more you see in the scripture. It's very, very plain. But my point is, there's often this metaphor or this story that goes around about people not knowing when the bridegroom is coming. It's too much. It's a lot of that's made up. So no. Well, Bat Mom, that's a different story. Let me scroll up here. Okay, Marfa Lights, real quick. Oh, back to the light. Okay. Gene Hudson says, I always thought a bride was to walk beside her husband to compliment, not complete. Yes, that is true. Um, People who are like, yeah, in fact, just as a general statement, a wife should never complete her husband. She should compliment him. I think that's a great way of saying it. Because if he needs her to complete him, now, to be complete as one, right? If we want to say we have one emotionally, psychologically healthy person, another emotionally and psychologically and spiritually healthy person, they come together as one person. You have a much larger whole. True, and within and you need two people to be completed within the confines of marriage. Yes, but the idea is that the spouse complements, not completes. So again, same thing would happen with Jesus. We're not here to complete him; we're here to complement him. But we are, again, it's a metaphorical connection. For those of you who do not know what the Marfa lights are, they are here in Texas, and I happen to know for a fact that my grandfather, my father's side, who's again my on that side, we're fifth generation. Um, he knew about them as a kid, straight up. Some people have claimed that there's no evidence that Marfa lights existed before the 1950s or post World War II. My grandfather, were he alive today, would beg differently. He heard about them as a kid. So that's sort of a now. It may not be that it was written down until the 1950s, but it did exist before the 1950s. And here's what it is: you go out to Marfa, Texas. It is in the middle of nowhere. Okay, and when I mean the middle of nowhere, I mean it is in the middle of nowhere for nowhere in Texas. It's in South Texas. I've been trying to get out there for years. I want to go and I want to make it a drive. My wife wants absolutely nothing to do with it. And I get it, it's a long drive, and she just does not care. I'm trying to find a way to make her care. Anyway, but they even have a display. Like you can go and you can just sit and watch them. They are mystery lights that appear. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows. There's no way to fully predict them. Um, they do appear very frequently, and no one knows what they are, where they come from. One theory that one theory is that there's somehow because there are lights that are seen around mounds. Going back to the whole serpent mound thing, it may be that whatever causes mound lights, which I tend to think may be demonic activity, but it could be somehow geomagnetic, right? We don't know. No one's ever proven it one way or the other. So when you look at it, it's entirely possible it's a geomagnetic thing because it's there so regularly. This could have, it could be some kind of geomagnetic reaction to something. But one theory that I kind of really like, for obvious reasons, is that they are ramphoractoid pterodactyls. Let me explain. So the theory goes like this: there is a long held connection between like the ropin and lights in the sky, just these lights that go and come off. They're not really UFOs. No one knows what they are, but there's this idea that somehow it's connected to the ropin, and there's some interesting reasons to think they may be connected to some lights we see here in Cedar Hill around Witch Mountain. Because that's not very far from where I saw my encounter, and it's not very far from where a lot of people have their ramphoractoid encounters in North Texas. Used to be Witch Mountain had a lot of these lights, and there is recordings of strange lights over Cedar Hill that don't match up with, like, say, traditional UFOs. So the theory goes like this: the ramphoractoids are bioluminescent, and what they do is they light up to attract insects. The insects come in because they're being drawn to the light. Bats chase the insects. The ramphoractoids eat the bats. That's the theory. I like the theory. Thus far, there's very little evidence at all for it. I think it's interesting. And again, Marfa lights been here for a while. Who knows? Cheese freak. I would like to think our lamps are trimmed and our oil is full. I don't know. It's a great question. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I just saw Mary H's comments like, "Oh, that's much further west than here in Abilene. It's further west than Abilene and way farther south." Like, I mean, hold on. Let me see if I can pull up a map to show you where Marfa is. Like, it is honestly as far away as you can get in the state of Texas and be in the state of Texas from civilization. Civilization? Civilization. There we go. There we are. Oh, good. It's decided to want to pull up Marfan syndrome for me. Like, I don't know what that is. Anyway, visit Marfa? No, I just want. There we are, maps. I'm gonna pull this up so y'all can see this because, and I mean this very sincerely, it is hard, and I mean genuinely hard to explain how breathtakingly large the state of Texas is. I'm going to put okay, the county courthouse. I'm gonna put my thing right there. Groovy. We're back up. I'm not looking for anything. I'm just. Oh, come on, Google, leave me alone. There we are. No, that's wrong button. All right, that should do it. Oh, I pushed the wrong button. Dang nabbit. Come on, undo this. I'm going to share my screen while it's figuring out what to do. So I'm going to show you. Like, it's really hard to explain just how far away things are sometimes. There we go. And let me make sure it takes up the whole thing. There we are. Okay. Tell me it's still there. Okay. And dang it, I lost my pen. There we are. Okay. So if you can see, stupid Google. All right. Let's see if I can do this successfully now. All right. So the pin, the red thing, that's Marfa. Right there at the intersection of 90 and 17, which is also 67. Just don't ask. And the worst part is 67 actually is not that far from my, house, but it's kind of a long story because that's a different 67. Okay. So you should be able to see this all here. Oh, my pin is missing. Anyway, it's right here. So Marfa is basically right here. Okay. This is the great state of Texas all the way over here. Okay. This blue dot is me. I am in Waxahachie, Texas, which is just south of Dallas. I'm about 15 minutes away. Marfa is here. It is about as far from San Antonio, which is San Antonio is about a 5-hour drive from me. It's about half the distance from maybe even more from San Antonio as it is from San Antonio to Dallas. That's maybe about a quarter or 2/4 of the distance, maybe a half. Anyway, maybe 2/3. It's a long way in the middle of nowhere. So it's further west than Abilene. It's way further south than Abilene. In fact, from Abilene to Dallas is still not as far as from Marfa to San Antonio. Midland and Odessa, okay? Lubbock's over here. Like, these are just massive distances. And getting here, and here's the worst part, getting to Marfa from Dallas is, like, you notice there's no straight line here. There is no major highway connecting Marfa with Dallas. Because outside of the lights, don't no one go to Marfa for any reason whatsoever. While we're talking about weird things in Texas, I mean, theoretically, I could take 20 down and then come on down here. but it's just, yeah, sorry, Marfa's here. So it's even further away. My bad. Marfa's here. San Antonio is over here. Dallas is over here. So it is actually close. So it's closer from San Antonio to Dallas as it is from San Antonio to Marfa. That's how far away it is. It is unfathomably. Texas is just big. Like, people don't understand how big Texas is. So there you go. That's where Marfa is. I want to go out there. I really do. Spend a couple days, maybe get some stuff. Hey, Addie. Um, and like I said, I just can't find the time because it's getting to Marfa from Dallas is a 1 day. It's like basically a day trip anyway. And then you're there. So I mean, it's basically a vacation to go and see this thing. So anyway, that's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a pin holder. Sorry, just going up and seeing. Yeah, like I said, I'd like to go see it, but it is. I got to find some time to go do it because it's just a huge trip. So yeah, the Marfa lights are awesome. I would like to go see them personally and see about. Some people say they're just carved, but it's like I said, it goes back to before my grandfather was a kid when he heard about them. So they've been around. Are they connected again? Are they connected somehow to like the serpent mounds? Don't know. That's a great question, and I'd like to know. There's a lot of these things I'd like to know, but we have to find them out. So, on that note, I will leave you good people to do. Let you get back to your day. Sunday is going to be communion, so we can do that. Um, and we'll talk about something. We'll actually have something cool to talk about. So this Friday is, oh, hold on, 8:23. A lot of people said a lot of stuff at 8:25. Uh, Oh, I didn't know the Giant was filmed in Marfa. Interesting. Texas sounds huge. It is huge, Lisa. Oh, you're about to move to Midland? Okay, then we will have that conversation. Yeah, if you're moving to Midland, let me know because let me know when you get set up because um that sounds interesting. Because yeah, you won't be that far from Marfa. Now I will say this: I have driven through Midland. We were on a vacation and we drove there, and it's a long haul. But I've got a friend who wants to go out there as well. So Titan, let me know when you get moved out there and everything's set up. We will um, be more than happy to come out and bug you. And then we all go down to Marfa and see about shooting a ram faractoid or something. It'd be fun. Anyway, so I think that's it for tonight. I'm going to go back to work, sadly. But tomorrow is New Year's Eve. Um, you know what? It is just another day. But sometimes having a nice little signifier that says you made it is always good, right? Um, it's the point is you've lived another year. You've moved there. You've moved through life. You've moved through this year. You survived it. You've learned and you've grown. There's pain. There's joy. Always be able to say, "Look, I did that. Right? I made it." So enjoy tomorrow. I'm not saying go get drunk and hang out under the ball in New York. Don't ever go to New York. New York is gone. But enjoy yourself. I'm gonna make myself like I said, I'm gonna make myself and my family a nice little dinner. It's gonna be fun. we'll probably play some video games and we'll watch some movies. And then at some point, I'm definitely going to fall asleep because I'm too old anymore to be like, yay, let's stay up until, although I'm always up until midnight. So, okay, but I won't stay up much past midnight. I remember when I was younger, I'd be like 2 o'clock in the morning and our friends would still be doing things, right? No, midnight's come. Great. I'm done. I'm out. Um, yeah. So it's one of those things where enjoy it, right? Understand you survived this year, you made it through, and that's something for you to be happy about. It really is. Um, and it's a good time to start. Always, you don't need the end of a year to start new, to start fresh, to do something to improve yourself. But since we're here, it's a great, um, it's a great opportunity, right? Um, it's a great opportunity to just be like, you know what, I'm going to the new year. Let me get rid of my bad habits and let me embrace some new good habits. Because it is tomorrow. So, just saying, it's a great opportunity. Enjoy your time. Have fun. I will see y'all on Sunday, y'all, and it's gonna be good. Like we're gonna do communion. It'll be It's a great way to start the year. It really will be. So, on that note, I bid you wonderful people adieu. Even you, cheese freak. Even you. But I'll bid you all adieu, and we'll catch you on Sunday.